All right, welcome. We're going to get started here in a second. I'm waiting for a few more people to join us live on TikTok, it looks like. So we'll get started. We have a good one tonight. I can start sharing my screen. Welcome, TikTok. We got a good one tonight talking about subcontractors. For those of you that want to grow, make a little coin, but don't want to do all the work yourself, this is a good one. Everybody's got mixed opinions about whether you should have your own employees or you should have subs. I find it's best to do both. Um, each requires a different skill set. You can have success with both, but you have to be ahead of the curve. So we'll break it down. Welcome. If you're new, if I don't know you, please let me know what remodeling niche you're in. Like siding, kitchens, baths, and what part of the country you're in. And at any point, you can ask questions. My style is typically this. I will spend the first probably 12 minutes going over the topic, right? So I'm going to give you some information, my experience of working with subs, how I found it works best. I'm going to also blend in and share, right? So obviously, the last several years, I've worked with other remodelers and I help them with their relationship with subs, and I can share what we've implemented and works for them, as well as what I implement for myself and what works. Um, I'm not a unicorn. I'm just a guy that saw that most remodelers are terrible at running their business. That's why I started a remodeling business. I liked renovating houses, and when I was hiring people, it was such a struggle and it was frustrating. And I had a little bit of a business. I always wanted to run a business. So finally, one day I got frustrated and I said, "This is ridiculous. Most of these contractors out here, it's a joke. If I started a remodeling business tomorrow, I'd be successful. Like that easy." I was like, all I gotta do is return phone calls, put in some policies. We do handyman. Awesome. Oh, thank you, Miles. Appreciate it. I'm gonna tell you what, man. So a lot of guys in the remodeling space talk negative about handyman, and they are so missing the boat. We started a handyman division just like a year and a half into doing our remodeling. At first, we were remodeling, right? And I was shocked. That handyman side of the business was the best thing we ever did. And I'll explain to you what happened. When you can do what you do, if you can go solve a small problem for a homeowner, they immediately want you to solve every problem they ever have at their house. And nowadays, homeowners have expanded what they think a handy, at least in my area, handyman companies are doing additions. We're doing kitchens. We're doing baths, roofs, siding. We're not just going over to fix a squeaky gate. Now, again, this is only if you want to do that for your skill set. I have no idea what you want to do, what you're comfortable doing, but understand like it could start out as something as simple as changing a ballast in somebody's fluorescent light one morning, right? Let's say you charge them like $200 to, get the ballast, you switch it out, boom, boom, boom. Next thing you know, they're going to call you back and say, "Hey, we've been thinking about doing our kitchen." Now, if you hand them a flyer that lets them know that you do these other services, good for you. They'll definitely call you. But I'm going to tell you what, man, don't sleep. That handyman business is no joke. You can make a ton of money on handyman. A lot of customers, yes, it builds trust. You're 100% correct. How long have you been running that handyman business, Miles? Oh, man, you're brand new. 3 months. Come on. Oh, that's awesome. Did you work for someone else in the business or you just, yeah, I bet you're taking off. I'm assuming that you're like professional, like you probably answer the phone, return the phone call, email. probably have, if you just do the simple things in this business, it's so easy. I swear. Uh, you, it's this industry is full of so many bitter, broke guys that are just burnt out. It's like taking candy from a baby if you come in with the right attitude. Yeah. 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 If you can show up sober or clear head, clear mind, not high on anything, you can run away with it in this business. Awesome. Well, Miles, I appreciate you being here. So uh, as I'm talking tonight, I'll be thinking a little bit about how this might apply for you. And I can't obviously speak for what you want to do with your business. What I can share with you that I did for mine, I recognized early on that a skill set that I naturally have, and yes, I had to learn how to be better at it, but I'm a good coordinator. I can see a problem and understand that if I can put one and two together, I can get three. So here's what I'm saying. I did not have the manpower when I first started, and homeowners would want me to do projects. And what I recognized was for me in my area, I had the business. I was licensed, I was insured. So that's an asset. And when the homeowner calls and they want to deal with me, I recognize that they want to deal with the peace of mind that my company brings them. It's not me 100%. And I was able to language in a way and let them know that I have an organization, I have a team that works with me, and that's how we provide the results. And where I'm going with this is I started finding excellent subs. That way, I didn't always have to have 20 employees. I could handle almost any project that ever came up, ever came along, or I was able to sell with a couple key employees and then working with a good network of subcontractors. So I share that with you because in my mind, the hardest part of the business is acquiring the customer, right? Selling or landing the job. If you can do that well, never let lack of resources as far as staff goes slow you down. Now, your reputation is important. So I understand that a lot of guys prefer to stay small because they want to really make sure the quality is where it is and the homeowner's experience. And I will say this, if you can set up a good system of how you'd like your subs to operate, we do a whole package. So if a subcontractor wants to work for us, they have to fill out an application, almost like an employee would, right? And then they get a bunch of information from us. I share with them that this is the vision for the company. This is how we, what we're about. This is the experience that we provide to the homeowner. And if they can abide by that mentality and be a part of that energy, I guess is the best way to explain it, right? Like they show up on time, they show up clean, they respect the homeowner's property, they respect the neighborhood, all those types of things. I've got some amazing subs that have no intention of ever being my employee. I never have the intention of hiring them. And yet I would send them on any job that we get. It's just, it becomes a scheduling issue. I want to keep my core guys busy, the guys that are on my payroll, W-2 employees. But after that, we'll handle anything. So I just share that as a caveat. You may or may not care about that or want to go in that direction. Okay. Yes. So you have 4 good guys. Awesome. Do you run 2 in a vehicle or does everybody have their own vehicle? All right, man. Then awesome. All right. So you're set. You're ready to crush it. Yeah. So what we found on when we would land. So for instance, a lot of our jobs in the handyman division. Oh, brother. All right, Miles. Damn, I'm not in my main office right now. I'm in a, anyway. We ran a campaign for several years. I almost don't want to share it on TikTok sometimes because it's so good. We give we advertise gift cards for handyman services that people can buy for loved ones. I want you to follow me on this. Homeowners, specifically the baby boomer generation, have a lot of disposable income generally. Their kids do not. And a lot of the baby boomers would like their kids to be able to live a little bit nicer in the house. And one way they can help them do that is they would purchase from us remodeling handyman services in advance as a present, a gift card. You'll be shocked at the denominations that you can sell this in. We did ours in $250 increments. And that's basically what we would call like a basic service call. We'll come over, clean a gutter, fix a gate, maybe put up a flat screen TV that they got for Christmas, as long as they have the, obviously that's not including the cost of the mounting hardware, but $250 could potentially cover the cost of just putting that wall, TV on the wall. That's not doing we're not routing electric and cables and all that. We're just physically mounting. But anyway, we have had quite a few people purchase large sums. I'm talking several $1,000s worth of handyman services. They pay for it in advance, and then they give that as a gift to their family member. So if you're looking for a way to boost sales for next year, you should get with if you can handle it yourself by using Canva, or get with a graphic designer, you'll come up with a nice, it's like a jumbo postcard is how I would recommend you do it. And you'll come up with your own copy, but you give the gift of home remodeling handyman services to a loved one. So, and you'll be shocked I don't know if you do any networking. I do a BNI type of group. And if you get in one of those groups and you start giving out these flyers now, at least do it. You got to do it before Thanksgiving, because a lot of people that are on the ball, their Christmas shopping is done by Thanksgiving. So it's not too early to start advertising that this is a service, because think about this. It's going to be so different that a lot of people are going to go, what do you sell? What do you offer? What's that? But once they get it, and once they let it sink in, I think you'll be shocked at how many people will purchase it from you. So anyway. Oh, yeah. So if you're in, look, this is a no-brainer for you. Yeah, if you're in a BNI and a Chamber of Commerce, you have, anyway, you don't have to do anything. I'm just saying, you should prove me wrong that it doesn't work in your area. Come back to me after you sell $10,000 this Christmas of handyman services. Anyway. All right. Miles, I'm excited for you, brother. You guys are going to crush it. All right. So I'm going to jump into this. A lot of guys want to blame everyone else as soon as something falls apart, right? So Miles, you can appreciate this. You got 4 guys. So if one of your guys has an issue out on a job site, as an owner of the company, a natural tendency is to want to blame them, right? Must be their fault. They must have done something wrong. I would challenge to rethink that. And the first person, if you're a business owner and you want to scale and have a good, happy team and be profitable, anytime there's an issue, you always go back to yourself. And I don't care who the problem, where it manifested, who had the issue. You might not even been on the job site. And if there was an issue, you got to point it back to you and say to yourself, there must be something that I didn't do properly. I didn't train the guys. I didn't properly position the project, whatever. We didn't prep the homeowner properly. It should never be your guy's fault, if you follow what I'm saying. Because if you're the head of the team, if you're the owner of this company and everybody's following you, you are responsible for everyone's success. Okay. And that's not to say that you're not going to have issues and hurdles along the way. No, I'm not saying that. but it's just showing you the things that, damn, we didn't understand that. We weren't prepared for that. It's not, so where I'm going with it is you never want to blame the guy that it happens to out in the field. In fact, you want to grab them as soon as something goes wrong and say, hey, Joe, damn, that fucking sucks. And please forgive me. We're going to work with that and make sure that that doesn't happen to you again in the future. Brother, that's not on you. That's on us as the owners of the company. For whatever reason, we didn't understand what we were doing, how that could impact this and have that happen. All right. So hopefully that makes sense to you. But that's the frame of reference that you want to, in my opinion, that you want to move forward with if you're trying to grow a team. Because if you blame the team, you're always just going to blame the next guy. And it's kind of like one of the reasons why most people just get in and out of relationships. It's always the other person's fault, right? You take the person that's been divorced 3 times. They haven't learned a damn thing in any of the relationships. They're always blaming the other person when what the world was trying to show them each time was, hey, there's some things you should change. And then this relationship would work out a lot better. Okay. It's about you growing. So anyway, that's what I would share for you to grow this company. And that's what works for me in growing with the guys and recognizing that you can have really successful teams. All right. So this is all part of my 3rd pillar that we talk about at the Remodeling Academy. And this is where we get in. So project management and job execution, that's where you make the money. In addition to, you have to learn how to sell it properly. All right, that's the given. But the problem most guys have is a lot of guys can sell the work. They get the job and then they fumble it during the execution. And just an hour a day will crush your numbers at the end of a year. Yeah, thanks, Rob. Wishing you a great night. So enjoy. All right, brother. Hey, Rob, we're here to talk about remodeling. So if that's what you're into, awesome. Otherwise, you can bounce. All right. So the homeowner is not going to matter or not care who's coming out as long as you're properly explaining that when you're selling the service. Where I've seen guys get into trouble that I've worked with is sometimes they want to lie and they want to use subs, but they try to tell the homeowner that everyone's an employee. Well, the problem is homeowners are going to figure it out because the guys talk when they're on the site. And sometimes the homeowners are sharp and they figure it out. And that just creates a lot of contention. So where I'm saying is if you use employees and subs, I would recommend when you talk with homeowners about who's coming out, they're a team member. They're part of your team. And I explained to homeowners, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I have a great team of people, guys I've been working with and girls for years. Some are direct W-2 employees. Some are independent subcontractors. And the reason we have that model, we use a blended model because of the way jobs ebb and flow with the economy, is that's what allows us to stay competitive and stay afloat. So we don't have a massive payroll all the time. We have a very reasonable payroll that we can work with. And we have the resources and capabilities to handle influxes of businesses, downturns of businesses. So that's why we use a blended model. And I share all that with the homeowners up front. And I'm engaging to see how their response is. And I have not had, I can't think of one homeowner that's had an issue with that when I brought it up front. So anyway, I share that because that's a good way to add to your team if you want to use subs and employees. I just would recommend you don't lie about it. You be upfront about it. Because once you start the one lie, as soon as something goes wrong, then you're caught in the mix of all kinds of, and once you lose trust, right? So it's not worth it. Just be upfront. That's just from my personal experience. That's how I would handle it if you want to use subs. So here's the thing. I have found that in the beginning, if you don't set proper boundaries and when you're first working out the kinks of working with new people, sometimes things don't go as planned. You have one expectation, the sub has another. So for instance, scheduling is very pertinent in this job. Nothing's going to frustrate a homeowner more is when you can't properly commit to a schedule or properly communicate that adjustments to the schedule have been to be made. When I first started, I thought homeowners were going to kill me and never want to work with me again if I had to make a change. And I would give my guys a hard time and say, no, we've committed to this. Like, you have to move hell, high water, whatever you got to do. We are going today. What I learned over time was homeowners are very accommodating of changes. So for instance, if you scheduled the job for 9 and one of your guys, let's say their child is sick and they have to stay home that day to help with childcare, whatever, and they can't go out to the job, if you properly notify the homeowner, whether it's you or the guy that works for whatever, somebody should be in contact, explain the situation. Mr. Smith, please forgive us. Here's our situation today. Joey was supposed to be coming out to you. Joey's got a 12-year-old at home, and that 12-year-old needs to go to the doctor today, and Joey's the only one that can do it. So unfortunately, we're going to have to reschedule your repair. And by doing it that way, I found that homeowners work with us all the time. We just didn't have issues because we let them know. We didn't lie to them. We just let them know what the real situation is. Now, if Joey's sick and has a hangover, well, no, that then I have to let him know. Unfortunately, the guy who was supposed to come out, we've had to fire them. So we're going to be bringing in somebody else for your team. Like, you see where I'm going with it. Keep your reputation at the same time. So working with subs can be challenging in the beginning until you guys work out the kinks, but it can work. And when you're honest with everyone, that keeps everyone in sync. And that's how you keep the jobs from falling apart. It's not necessarily about all the logistics. It's more about just a good leader and you or whoever does your scheduling. So I guess if you have 4 guys, somebody in your organization is managing that schedule. Or are you letting all your guys, do they have to self-generate their work? I know some handyman companies work that way. We didn't. We ran everything through the office. Our office scheduled everything. How do you guys do it, Miles? Hey, Angel, welcome. All right, so here we go. So here's the truth. A lot of times you don't need a huge team. You just need good coordination, right? Some of your best subs, they can mobilize and help you as well. Okay, you just hired an admin to help. Very good. All right. Yeah, so that'll make a big difference for you guys. And having like a digital calendar where the admin can make, insert all the jobs so your guys know where they're going and everybody can see everyone's calendar. That'll be it. You're probably already doing that. But so if you have a good subcontractor that works for you, and if you give them a heads up saying, hey, I got this large project coming up like in 2 months, any chance you could bring on like another 3 guys to help tackle that? Like, that's the amazing thing about having subs is you can utilize their connections and their expertise within. So for instance, we did that a lot with our siding and roofing sub. If I knew I had a couple projects, like usually if we landed when we land one project in a neighborhood, it's pretty much a guarantee that we're going to be getting 1 or 2 of the neighbors very quickly. And often I can share with the sub like, hey, while we're finishing up the Smiths, I'd like you to get started on, the Joneses down the road. And a lot of times I would like the same sub to just go from one to the next because they already know the style of house. They already know the neighborhood, things like that. Okay, yeah, House Call Pro is very good. All right, awesome. So to scale, you have to stop being the firefighter and you have to act like the general. And here's what I mean. The firefighter is always reacting to problems and is like, woe is me. And there's always an issue. And it's like you never anticipate. But if you're going to lead a team and a crew, you have to be ahead of the curve and anticipating possible problems that could be coming up. And that means you have clear expectations and you're using proactive communication and you have an actual system, right, that everyone's following. So like, for instance, for us, all selections are made before a job starts. Simple, right? That way the subs aren't getting frustrated. The homeowner, the last thing you want to do is have a sub on a job and the homeowner has hem and hawed and dragged their feet because homeowners like to do this by nature. They don't want to, once they sign an agreement, many homeowners, if you leave a lot of selections left and you don't give them a firm deadline, they will not make those selections because they don't want to. They have like decision fatigue. They have anxiety that they might be getting the wrong thing, and they're going to want to wait till the last minute. And then what that's going to do is get your sub frustrated because now they're not installing everything when they should be because it's not all ready. The homeowner hasn't made the final decision. That's not fair to your subcontractor. So in my opinion, if you're going to use subs, you got to get as part of your process, somebody in your company, whether it's you, your admin, all selections need to be done before the job is scheduled. All right. And that's a different way of talking to the homeowner, but it's letting them know, Mr. and Ms. Smith, we're as excited to do your job as you are for us to get started. And in order for us to get started and deliver expert service, part of the process is you got to make all the selections so we can get everything ordered before we start. That is how we ensure expert service and, pristine results, whatever. You use your own words. So, all right. And look, this isn't just me saying it. Like there's companies like McKinsey, and they study this stuff. They show that poor communication and specifically poor project coordination, that's one of the like top 3 causes for construction companies to have their delays. But most importantly, it's why there's these cost overruns. It's why they lose money. Okay. So remember, it's not the sub or it's not the employee who's messing up. It's you as the leader of the company. If you're the issue, right? You have to set your team up for success. So if they're not winning, you have to take the brunt and say, damn, like we're not doing this well. Now, coordinating a sub does not mean, nor an employee, right? It doesn't mean you babysit them. But what it does mean is you give them very good clarity. Okay. You're very specific in what the items are that they're doing. Hey guys, you're replacing the siding on all 4 sides of the house and 3 sides of that garage. You're not doing the back wall. You're doing the 2 sides and the front wall of the garage, all 4 sides of the house. Like this is the size. We're doing the Dutch lap here. We're doing vented soffit for the house. We're not doing vented soffit for the garage. Like you should be giving them very clear instructions. They should know exactly what's happening. Our guys, that's how we like to work with them. There shouldn't be a lot of decisions left to the homeowner. What you don't want to say to your sub is, yeah, just talk to the homeowner once you get out there. They'll let you know. That's not fair to the sub. If the sub wanted to be involved in sales, they'd be selling the jobs themselves and you wouldn't even be involved. You see what I'm saying? Subs like to come out. Most of the subs that we work with, at least, they don't want to even talk to the homeowners for the most part. They just want to come do the work. So you should be coordinating, in my opinion, your project manager should be coordinating all of that communication. Now, it doesn't mean that the homeowner can't come out and say something to Billy, who's the main siding guy, but Billy should automatically be directing all that communication to say, Mr. Smith, thanks for checking with me. I appreciate that. Let me get Mike on the phone and we can go over all of this. I don't want my subs having to handle a lot of the communication with the homeowners. That's not why they're there, for the most part. Okay. So I would tell you, your idea is we met with a guy today who wanted us to start a basement in 2 weeks. Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, starting a basement in 2 weeks is reasonable. I don't know if that includes like a kitchenette or a bathroom, but I mean, getting framing lumber, sheetrock, getting your electrician over, that should all be pretty reasonable. I don't know. That's up to you guys. I think people should pay a little bit extra when they want to be in a hurry so that it makes it worth everyone's while, because there's not a lot of other companies that probably can jump that fast. So guys, do this. If you're using subcontractors, think of yourself as like a movie director. You aren't being the actor in all the scenes, but the crew's performance, it depends on how well you set the scene up, right? You stage the job. So when you coordinate well, the jobs move fast, the mistakes drop, everyone's stress level goes down, and the clients are happy. Whenever clients see progress and less problems, everyone's excited. Miles, what size is that basement? Tell me what part of the I don't know what part of the country you're in. Did you tell me? Oh, Colorado. Yeah, so you guys probably have some good sized basements out there. So here's how people lose. If you start blaming your subcontractor for the poor communication, don't get me wrong, there are times where a sub makes a mistake, and then you have to say to yourself, damn, how could I communicate better in the future? Right? What do I need to do differently so that my sub doesn't make that same mistake? Never assume that they know what you're talking about. So we walk a job site with the sub, so you should do the same. There should be a project manager, um, you as the owner, whatever. Somebody should be walking a job with a sub and not just telling them over the phone, hey, you're just doing the siding, just figure it out. Okay. Take that extra hour or two, walk them through, answer any questions. Because here's what's going to happen. The sub is, this happens for me 90% of the time, the sub sees something that I didn't see and has a valid question and will ask me, and I'll be like, damn, I didn't notice that. You're correct. All right. As opposed to them blaming me later, like we pick it up right away. All right. So, because you don't want to get caught in the middle of a big argument. Trying to learn from you if I should take them. But he was giving me all the red flags. I don't know if I want to work with him. You're going to have to tell me, Miles, what the red flags are. Like, how well do you understand personality types? Does he just have a different personality style than you? So, like, that happens sometimes. The homeowner, just the way they communicate is different from you. So things might feel off initially. I'd have to ask you, like, what are your red flags? So we can address it. Don't worry. Let's see. So you want to leave a lot of the tactical decisions for you as the you and the homeowner to be making, not for the subs, if that makes sense. Okay. So you have to do what's called pre-job clarity. We give subs packets and we explain to them thoroughly what they need to get done, like what the specifications are for the job. Okay. And they get that ahead of time so that they can look it over. And then that way, any questions that come up, maybe they notice that we miscounted the soffit or the lineal, whatever. Something could come up and we missed something. Are we putting fan fold insulation in? Things like that. And you should have, for those of you that work with subs, I recommend getting involved with setting up a Slack channel, a Slack account. And that's an app that you can use. And each project that you do with them should have its own channel so that all the communication for that particular job falls under there. Okay. Now, you can also use paid monthly softwares to do the same thing, but Slack as a bare minimum would help. All right, so let's see, Miles. He was burned by other contractors. He wanted rough numbers on the spot. He wanted a schedule on the spot. He was using me to come up with his floor plan. Yeah, so if you've been following me, I recommend you do a paid design. So for instance, hey, Mr. Homeowner, yeah, that sucks that this happened to you before. Yeah, that's frustrating. Yep, we've had a lot of other homeowners that have, unfortunately, they went with cheaper contractors and they've had a lot of problems, just like you're explaining. Here's what we do. This is why our customers or homeowners have a lot of success. Yeah, I can totally do that design for you. This is the way that would work. We'll do the design next Wednesday. That fee to do the design is X. And then if you'd like to proceed from there, I'll credit you back the design fee to do the cost of the remodel. I mean, there's a couple ways you could sell that as well. So, Miles, it's he wanted a schedule on the spot. I mean, look, I don't know the size basement, but if let's say it's 1,000 square feet and you're doing there's no demo. If it's a newer home and you're just coming in and it's already got insulation, maybe you're just adding insulation. But if you're doing all the perimeter framing, some interior rooms, you have to do all the mechanical rough-ins, there's permits involved. I mean, maybe a month, right, is probably 6 weeks, depending on the size of the basement, I'm thinking. but it should be less than 2 months unless there's something crazy like a big time theater room or a dance area and some stuff like that. If you can get everything ordered in time. If he's doing a kitchenette down there, sometimes obviously you can't. Cabinets might not be till 6 weeks, so you have to talk to him about that. But I don't know. I'd have to have more information. All right. So with your subs, again, the best way to keep communication is by project. And again, if you don't have it, I would recommend you look at Slack or a specific app. You don't want to just use a generic texting because you want things to be, so you can text him back and forth like, hey, how's it going? But when it comes to, hey, if they have specific questions about a job, you redirect your sub to say, hey, I'm going to put those specifications in the Slack channel. So let's move over to that. And everybody can adjust on the fly. So there's a thing that we use. They're called embedded check-ins. And this is where I would ask my guys, I would say, hey, what is it that could possibly throw off the schedule? What is it that you think, might present problems on this job? Right? Those are the types of questions. I don't want to just say, is everything good? Because that's what everyone says, and people just almost answer it without even thinking about it. So I want to ask a strategic question that gets my sub thinking, hey, is there anything that, could really present a problem for you guys on this job? Things like that, okay? Also, you want to always acknowledge their schedule. Even if they're not busy, that's fine. But you want to say, hey, I'm sure you guys are booked right now. How does like Wednesday, will that still work for you? Or do we need to do a backup plan? Like treat them with some respect first. Okay. And I find that they will be much more, instead of demanding when they go, be respectful of when they go. And I find that they'll work with you more. That's just been my experience. And also, this is huge, but whenever you're on site, and you have a sub there and there's a homeowner there, you should do everything possible to praise that sub to the homeowner. For instance, if I show up and my electrician's on the job and the homeowner happens to be around, I'll say, hey, Joe, Diane, come on down. I want to introduce you to Peter. Peter is a master electrician. He is phenomenal. He's been working with us for 3 years now, and he's the best. Like, this guy is just fabulous. You notice the attention to detail. Look how clean his work is. Man, we couldn't be happier that we have Peter working for us. Now, all this is true. I'm not like lying, but what I'm doing is I'm letting the homeowner know that this guy is amazing, right? And I'm reinforcing to the guy that I have faith and trust in him. And that really builds up your team as a whole and gives a lot of credibility for the homeowner. You'll be shocked. If you're not doing those types of things, I'd suggest, and if you have, even if they're not subs, if they're your employee, if you're ever on a job site and your employees are doing work and the homeowner's there, make an effort to grab the homeowner and say, hey guys, Julio over here, Julio and his crew, they guys are awesome. And have you noticed how well that's turned out? Man, I'm so happy with these guys. I'm so glad they're working for you. Do a public praising with your guys and the homeowner. It helps build like that unity within the team unit. Okay. You'll be shocked at how far that goes. Because again, we're not trying to control anybody. We're just trying to create a good flow. We want our jobs to run like this. So, and sometimes when you have a bunch of different team members coming in and out, it can be challenging. The homeowner doesn't always know what's going on. They don't always even know who's there doing what. So it's good to, the homeowner likes to feel part of the team as well. They want to, some of them, the ones, if they're working from home or they happen to be home, just say, hey, I'd like to introduce you to a couple of the guys. Do you have a minute? Awesome. All right. So here's some what ifs to think about. Like, if you skip these things, then you're just going to stay stuck fighting fires, juggling a bunch of text, phone calls, excuses. Every job's going to feel like a big gamble. You're going to get burnt out. You're going to be like a lot of the guys in the Facebook groups. They're like, I just do it all myself these days. 30 years, screw it. I fired everybody, right? I don't think that's the way you want to be. I don't think that's the way they want to be. They're just frustrated because they haven't been able to figure it out. And so to them, you see what I mean? Like, you want to be excited to work with a team. You want to have a good team. Your best subs, they're going to start ghosting you if you don't treat them well. All right. They might still do the job because they need the money, but behind your back, they're not doing you any favors. Let's just say that. So if you can master working with the subs, you're going to gain really good control. You'll have tight timelines that you can hit consistently, and you're going to build an amazing roster. And what I found was many of my subs landed me future projects because they enjoyed working for us so much that when they had a potential to do another job that they didn't want to be involved in the selling of, but they're like, hey, Mike, so-and-so, they need a roof, they need siding. I'd be like, Bill, that's your thing. Go do it. Nah, I don't want to get involved. Would you sell it and just we'll do the work. And I'm going to tell you right now, you'd be shocked at if you treat your subs well, they just want you to keep doing what you do, which is to sell, manage the job. They want to come out and do what they do, which is the installation and the work. You'll reduce delays, you'll reduce stress, and the job, this industry becomes enjoyable because there's less chaos. You can do more work, make more profit, and have less problems. That's, to me, the the goal. And importantly, you'll start earning a reputation, in your area for like, hey, that's a good company to work for, and you'll have other people coming out of the woodwork trying to get jobs with you. So. Just using the all right. So here's at the end of the day, you can put this in for your favorite AI platform. You'll let it know, hey, I'm a remodeling contractor or I'm a handyman service, and I need to create a coordination system for my subcontractors that reduces the chaos, keeps the jobs on schedule. I need to include a communication process for all active guys. Help me understand whether I should be using a group chat, a Slack channel, WhatsApp. You just want to get away from standard text messaging on the phone because that's generic and everybody does it, and things get lost, in my opinion, too easily that way. You'll ask it to come up with a pre-job checklist so that you can prepare each subcontractor. All right, if you're not doing pre-construction meetings with your subs, this is your clue to start. And you'll use that Remodeling Academy's applied relational intelligence to help you come up with the proper phrasing. Often what we say, the words that we use, is very important. And just by changing a couple of the words and the way it's languaged, we'll get a much different result. Sounds silly, and some of you might think it's unnecessary, but I'm going to tell you, it fucking works. So you'll get buy-in, and it'll help you surface any potential issues early. And you can ask it for ideas to help maintain morale, prevent the no-shows, or any misalignment. So you put that into your chat agent, and then when you hit enter, you'll get a nice response that you can work from. And now you have a foundation for how you can start implementing and getting those subs going. So, all right, guys, thanks for sticking in there with that. Angel, Miles, what kind of questions you have? I don't know. Miles, I wouldn't say not to do the basement. I think I'd have to have a few more questions with the homeowner. Understand a few more things, test them a little bit is what I would do. So, it's funny. We started with basements. That was one of the area I live in has a lot of old homes. And this is what some of you guys might find. Guys that come over from new construction, they don't understand how to do basements. And here's why. If you're used to building a new home, you're used to building the basement first and going up. And so nothing is in your way. When you're a remodeler and you do a basement, you got all kinds of crap in your way. You can't frame walls the way you traditionally frame them, right? Because you got pipes here, you got this there, you got unleveled surfaces. So it's challenging. So to be good at a basement means you understand remodeling, and new construction guys can't do it typically. So it's a good niche to be in. And once you do one in a neighborhood, most of the other homeowners are going to want you to do it. Like we did one, we built a soccer area. Literally, we built a room where the kids could play soccer. We had a goal thing built into the wall. We built this special entertainment center. Like we literally made it out of 2x material. bolted it to the wall, skinned it with 3/4 inch plywood. So when the kids wanted to play soccer, all the homeowner had to do was shut the doors, and then the TV, all the components, the video games, all that was completely safe. I mean, the kids were like teenagers, so they could drill the soccer ball into that thing. It's not going to hurt it. Um, so when we do some things like that, we do you do different layers of sheetrock. Maybe you do resilient C channel to help with noise reduction. And when neighbors start finding out that you're capable of doing all these types of things, they start wanting that for their house as well. I bring all this up to say you don't want to be doing all that design and giving all those ideas away for free. You would explain to homeowners, oh, yeah, we'd love to come talk to you. Here's our process. The first thing we do is we come out and do a basement layout, a performance plan, whatever. You call it something catchy with your company name and charge something. I don't care, $35, $150, $500. It depends on the size and the scope, but you charge something to come out and give them that plan. Then you share some of those ideas. Otherwise, don't share them, in my opinion. It's not worth it because it's too easy for them to take it and shop it and bring in somebody cheaper and waste your time. That's just my opinion. And when homeowners start to find out that you're a little more exclusive, for those of you that are not scared of being exclusive, because some people are, homeowners will end up wanting you more. There's something about subconscious in us as humans. When we find out we can't get something that we thought we could, we end up wanting it more. So that's going to be a very interesting concept for you to think about if you're doing, because basement smiles are competitive, right? There's a lot of guys that'll do them cheap, and that's fine. The cheap guy can be there all day, right? And I explained to the homeowner, I said, Mr. and Ms. Smith, you're getting some bids, perfect. Let me be like the last person that comes out. And they'll be like, why? I say, well, you're going to be dealing with a bunch of cheap people, and they're going to be high risk, and you're not going to know what's going on. And they're going to leave all kinds of things out and try to hit you with change orders lately. So the best thing to do is you have me come out last, and I'll help you analyze all the other bids that you've gotten. And then we can look for the problems with each of them. All right. And I'll do that. No problem. And at the same time, I can provide you with what we would do, how we would do it, and why it's going to be different. And I already know that we're not going to be the cheapest because we don't play that game. We don't try to do bait and switch. We don't try to sell low price and then we're high risk. Nope. We do a fair price. That's why we've been in business for a while. That's why we have a long list of referrals. And I put all that out up front to start putting kind of question marks in the homeowner's head, because I want them to question. Every other guy's going to go out and try to sell on price. And I want the homeowner, as soon as they hear price and this person's selling on price, to say, that's a red flag. That's a warning. I don't want to deal with that contractor. So those would be my suggestions. That's just what's worked for me. And again, that works for my personality style. Okay. You have to go with what works for you. But I share that to let you know that if you have a fear, you face that fear. The best way to do it is to go head on to it. So for instance, my fear would be, I don't want to be the most expensive. I do want to be the most expensive. I want to be the most expensive and I want to get the job. My real fear was being the most expensive, not landing the job. So how do I position being the most expensive as the most advantageous and the best solution for the homeowner? Most expensive, less risk. End of story. Because you're getting the best value, right? I mean, I've shared it before. Homeowners can get coffee for free at Home Depot and Lowe's every day, but they're not racing and getting in line there. They're paying $7 at Starbucks. They don't want cheap. They want nice. They want good. They want to feel good about their purchase. So, and when homeowners if they push you for price, say, hey, you want the cheapest? Let me give you the name and number of a couple guys. They are for sure going to be the cheapest. And you hold on to my card, because most likely in 6 months, you'll be calling me back because they probably won't finish what they've started with you. And there'll be some issues. And we'll come back and look at it again. It's probably going to cost more at this point. But just let you know that you only have to call us one time after that. Because once you hire us, we get the job done. These other guys, they're cheap, but they ain't going to finish. Like you can use some of that as your languaging with your process. Angel, what are you selling this week, brother? How many more kitchens have you sold? Miles, give me an idea of what's the what do you estimate the size of this basement project to be at? I mean, are you handling everything? Is it framing, sheetrock? Are you putting in a bathroom? Is there going to be a bedroom, a living area, a living? You know, what are we looking at? It's unfinished, 2 beds. Oh, nice, 2 baths. Okay, damn. All right, that's no joke, man. So this is a good size. This is a good size basement. Yeah, 1,000 square feet. Okay. So can they and that's all legal in your area, I guess, in Colorado. All right, two. It's no, yeah, it's no joke. No, that's an awesome project, man. Um, yeah. So for him to think you're going to start in 2 weeks, that's a little unrealistic if you're doing 2 bathrooms, in my opinion. It's not that you can't. It's almost like, sir, it's almost like saying to him, are we trying to rush it because you didn't plan it far enough in advance? Like, what's the rush here? Because, and I just put it, I would, what I'm saying is talk about the white elephant that's in the room, because his poor planning does not constitute an emergency on your part to then go forward and try to rush performance. Does that make sense? Be like, I'd want to know, why is there a rush? Did you try to hire somebody else and did they flake and fall out on you? Or did you just wake up last week and think, oh, it'd be nice to have my basement done? Sure. Because 2 weeks for that size of a project, that's a, I'm not saying you don't do it, but it's definitely what I would say is rushed. Okay, so he might be that kind of a personality. He's still under contract on this house for his daughter. He just seems like he's in a rush. Yeah, so you might let the guy back to try personality. Yeah, that's okay. Like, some people are ready, fire, aim people, right? Like, and it's not that you can't work with them. It's just you have to learn to work with and around them at the same time. And what I mean is, hey, Mr. We totally can get started in 2 weeks. But here's how we're going to get started. First, we're going to come up with your plan. Like, we're going to do a whole layout. So, and then we'll get started with construction. So, yes, we're going to get started. And step one is doing the design. And then I need to get my subs out here. I'm assuming if it's 2 full baths, are you licensed it to do electrical and plumbing and all that, or will you need to have some subcontractors? I don't know how that works. I'm assuming in Colorado, they would have, the mechanicals would have to be separately licensed, but maybe not. Okay, so yeah, so you have a GC license. So in my area, I can pull the permit to do the basement, but I would need to do a job like that with 2 bathrooms. There would need to be a electrical permit by a licensed electrician, and then under my permit, and then there would be a licensed uh, plumber, that also has to have his permit referencing under my permit. So those, I do not hold electrical and plumbing permits in my state. I would be just holding the home improvement or general contractor's license. Um, so where I'm going with it is, yeah, those are, those 2 guys. It would be good to have each of them come out, take a quick peek at the project. Unless you've done a bunch of these basements with those guys, then they don't need to see it. Um, but I'm assuming you're breaking up concrete, or like, did the builder? I'm not familiar. 1,000 square foot house, would the builder have already roughed in plumbing in the basement? And does the homeowner want to do the exact same layout that the builder wanted? Or are you having to do all that, like busting up the concrete, roughing in, running vent pipes up through the roof, all that jazz? Yeah. All right. Yeah. So, but yeah, I don't know. If you feel like you can lock him down and run with his personality style, it's probably, maybe you charge him a little bit more for the rush factor. Uh, you know, but I don't know. It sounds like it's a good project. And some people are like that. Some people are last minute Larrys, you know. They should definitely pay a little bit of a rush fee to do that. I always found too, if I was a little uneasy about a job, that I would just put more money into it and say, I'll be very happy to put up with some inconveniences or headaches that the homeowner might cause me as long as I'm being properly compensated. So my price is my price. It's this much to do the job and it's this much to not do it. And then I'd be happy either way. I'd either be happy to get the work or I'd be happy not to. Hopefully, you're in a place where you don't feel like you're the last place you'd want to be is that remodeling business owner or handyman business owner is desperate, right? Because then you'll make bad decisions and it just doesn't, you want to make decisions from a place of, hey, I'd be very happy to get the job and I'd be willing to put up with all of these extenuating circumstances as long as we're getting paid this much to do it. That's the good thing about you being the owner. You get to make those decisions. Yeah, understood. What's the hesitation when you say you're not ready for yet? Is it the scope, like bigger projects? Is that what's taking you outside of your comfort zone? Yeah, good point. Are you the type of person that lives up here? Like, and where I'm going with this is you have a team of four. Um, so if you wrote it out on paper and shared it with the team, do you feel like they would be like, hey, we can handle this, no problem? Or would that overwhelm your team as well? Like, and what I'm saying is, this hurt me in the beginning when I was remodeling. At first, when I would sell projects, I would always feel the burden that everything would fall back on me if my guys quit or if I had to fire them. So I was limiting how much I could sell in the beginning because I was scared that I can only do so much myself. So I can't have 10 jobs at once. I can maybe only have four, right? And I had to get over that fear. And I'm only speaking for myself, to where I was able to sell a lot of projects and say it's all going to work out. Like, I will find the manpower to make it happen. It's not all going to, yes, I'm responsible as the business owner, but at the end of the day, I will find people to do the work. And worst case scenario, if we have to cancel a contract or amend the scope or, but it always seemed to work out. It was my own fear that got in my way in the beginning. I can't say that that's what's happening for you or not. It's just a thought. Yeah. So okay. So you, yeah, absolutely. It's 100% natural. It's a growth thing, right? Like, so you as the business owner, there's things called skill stacking, right? It's kind of like, maybe this will be relation. You're cool with doing 1,000 square foot basement all day long, but let's say one of like the Colorado Rockies all-star baseball players starts calling you up and saying, "Hey, I got this 12,000 square foot basement. I want you to put in a batting cage. I want you to put in a swimming pool. I want you to do my basketball court. We're gonna have a bowling alley over here. I'm gonna have two media rooms." Like, all of a sudden, that type of a job comes along. If you've never done it before, you'd be like, whoa, 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 whoa. You know what I'm saying? Not that you couldn't do it, but there'd be some hesitation. Whereas once you do that job once, you're like, that wasn't that big of a deal. I want to do like 12 more of these. You probably are going through something like that, where when the initialness of the busyness, or if you start to feel like it's too much to manage up here, it needs to be put out on paper. You got to get it out of your head and have your team help you. Yeah. So you're probably, most likely, Miles, you're ready for it more than you think you are. Like, it's probably would all work out if you took it. I understand that you're hesitant and you're being cautious, and that's smart. I'm not saying that, but most likely you're more than capable of doing it. It's you working through that own internal process. So I would say face it. If it's something you're afraid of, you just go head first. That's usually the indicator. That's what I can share has worked for me as a business owner. Whenever I am nervous or afraid of an opportunity, that's the opportunity I have to have. At first, I'm like, whoa, whoa, I don't know if I want this. No, that's the thing I should take because I'm afraid of it. And that's letting me know, that's pushing me to the, how do I explain? Everything that I need to know about becoming the next successful version of myself, I will learn by taking on that project, because it's going to push me outside of my comfort zone. And that's what we're basically, as business owners, in my opinion, that's what you're here to do. Each evolution of your business is for you to get outside of your old shell, your current level, take on the next challenge, get yourself to have that oh shit moment where you're definitely nervous and afraid, but you go into it with confidence saying, I'm capable of handling this. I don't know how it's going to work out, but I'm going to just take the first step, and then I'm going to take the next step, and I'm going to take one step at a time, and I'll get through it. Yeah. Yeah. You're more than capable. That's up to you. You just, if you want it, you got to ask yourself if you want it or not. But if you're in 3 months and you already have 4 guys, that should be no problem for you. And you already know this. The biggest challenge, the reason that 90% of the remodeling and handyman type businesses fail is because the business owner just doesn't get out of their own way. I mean, you boil it down, plain and simple. We all of us are presented with the same exact scenarios most of the time, and it's just that some people, for whatever reason, have a better threshold for accepting that uncomfortableness and moving forward anyway. And some people aren't. And those that are able to keep moving forward, they're the ones that things just keep seeming, it's like climbing a set of stairs. You just take the next step. You don't have to understand. What I'm saying is, you don't need to know how to get all the way to the top of the mountain. You just have to say, how do I get to the next clearing or the next shelf? You know what I mean? So, all right. That's probably, yeah. Well, Miles, you have to tell us how it goes, and we'll touch base in another week. You'll have to jump on a live and let me know whether you took on the project or not. Have you had a chance to look at the get paid to estimate system that we do? Have you thought about asking this guy to pay a little bit to do a design for the basement? Okay. Yeah. Something to just keep in mind for down the road. You might find that that helps too. Especially when you find guys like this that are in a big hurry. Say, awesome, let's get you started right away, and let's do, so that our next step is this. And then you're kind of calling their bluff. If they're, instead of them putting the pressure on you to see how fast you can start, you're flipping it right back to them saying, well, we could start this week. Here's what we got. Here's our next step. And then it's like you're volleying the ball back over to them. And especially if somebody wants a project done in a hurry, that's another benefit that you can explain to them. Hey, Mr. Smith, just like any road trip, you got to have a good roadmap. We got to know where we're going, where we're getting fuel, what exits we're taking, right? So we come up with this design, then we'll be able to get this basement done like that. Whereas if we're waiting, like if we just jump right in and then in a week from now, we still don't know the layout, we don't have the exact bedroom dimensions or the bathroom sizes, that really holds up a job. Whereas the best thing for us to do, the reason that we can turn around this basement so fast for you is because we already made all the decisions up front ahead of time. That's one of the advantages to offering or having them do a design with you first. Who else has jumped in here? Miles, some of these guys probably didn't want to hear us talking about basements the whole time. All right, Miles, you have a good one. Thanks for being here. Unless you have, if I can help you with anything else, I think we're going to end it. But yeah, if Miles, if you haven't already, feel free to jump in the profile and you can download that book, Get Paid to Estimate book. That'll be a good thing to help you. Just because you're a handyman doesn't mean you can't charge for like design work. Especially from what you're telling me, if you're doing 1,000 square foot basements, then you're not just running around fixing squeaky gates, is what I'm trying to say. So those are good projects to have. So good for you. All right. That is, that's going to be all for tonight. Appreciate you being here. Have a good one.